Hello everyone, I am Amy from Service Writers Anonymous, and I am here today to bring you the first in a series I want to do about women in automotive history. If you've seen our podcast, episode 4, Diagnostics, you already know the backstory on why I wanted to do this series, and you've already seen a little bit about my first subject. When we're talking about women in automotive history, there's absolutely no more appropriate place to begin than with Mrs. Bertha Benz. Bertha was co-inventor of the very first car. Born in 1849, Miss Bertha Ringer, in 1869, Miss Ringer met Carl Benz at a social event, and he explained to her this dream he had to build this horseless carriage, and she was enthralled by it to the point where, about a year later, she convinced her parents to pay out her dowry before they were married so that they could buy out his unreliable business partner. Not only was she financially invested in this vehicle, she also was hands-on in helping to develop and design it. They sat together and built this car, including a famous story of them sitting together and coiling wire to develop an ignition coil. They were married in 1872, worked tirelessly for years. On New Year's Eve in 1879, they fired up their two-stroke gasoline motor for the very first time. It took about 6 years from that point to finish the rest of the car, and in January of 1886, Carl Benz filed the patent. Upon filing this patent, Carl was met with a ton of public skepticism, and after a certain amount of time, Bertha could no longer stand it. She believed in this invention. She believed this would change the world. And not only was she right, she was willing to do whatever it took to prove it. So without her husband's knowledge, she left him a note and took both of her children in this car, between 60 and 66 miles, depending on which report you read, from Mannheim, Germany, where they were living at the time, back to Pforzheim. And I apologize if I mispronounced either of those town names. And when she arrived at her parents' house about 12 hours later, she sent her husband a telegram to let him know about the success and the safety of the journey. Upon the return trip, the wooden brake blocks failed. So what she did was she found a cobbler. For those who don't know, that is someone who fixes shoes, and had this cobbler attach leather straps to those wooden blocks on the fly on her own, inventing replaceable brake pads. The attention this had drawn changed the game, and this car really started to take off. Now that name Benz absolutely means something to you, because that company is now called Mercedes-Benz. And the very first car would not have been possible without Bertha Benz. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. This has been so much fun. I plan to do a lot more of this. There's a lot more women I want to talk about, so I hope you'll join me next time. Have a great night, everyone.